Chris Brown. Welcome to Stories from the Field.
Thanks so much, Will. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I am fascinated with the work you're doing at the Lifeways Institute. So, why don't you start with what you're doing at the Lifeways Institute and your journey to starting it?
Yeah, thanks so much. So the Lifeways Wilderness Institute is a recreational and therapeutic guiding service based out of Durango, Colorado. Yeah, and our whole goal is to make sure that people have access to preventative early stage interventions and care while also celebrating our expertise as recreational guides and therapists. So consider us as a hybrid model. We're not Knowles, we're not outward bound, and we're not a wilderness therapy company. We're somewhere in the middle. And that allows us to really prioritize both a holistic model to someone's care, even if that's just for a half day of recreational rock climbing, or if that's prolonged outpatient therapeutic work. We're able to do both. And I think that allows us to really have a sweet scope and maximize the benefit of a community-based model while also reaching folks who are beyond Durango, Colorado. And then I believe the second part to your question was, how did this come to be, or how did the Lifeways Institute come to fruition? And just know that for me, this has been a 10-year vision and project. Obviously, I have worked in residential settings and wilderness therapy settings, and I've done a bunch of recreational guiding and some mountaineering and climbing. But the whole time that I was specifically working in wilderness therapy, I was a guide and field manager for Open Sky Wilderness Therapy before Open Sky closed in 2023. I just felt really called to making sure that there were other institutions in America that saw the need for prevention, early stage intervention care, and not just working with folks in crisis. And I thought a really helpful way to do that was through nature-based programming. I think what a lot of the wilderness therapy companies were doing was really pretty impressive. I mean, it was a beautiful arrangement and still is for some organizations. But the whole time I had this feeling in the back of my head that, why are we just working with people in crisis? Why are we just working with people in the top 5-10% of the economic world here in the US? And wanted to scheme and dream a little bit about how could this be a bit different. And yeah, for me too, like a lot of folks in the field, as a young man in my 20s in college, I struggled a lot with addiction and mental health challenges. And I found backpacking and climbing and found mentors, found people who were willing to say like, hey, I know your big baseball career is over, but you're a small fish in a big pond. Humble yourself and go outside and focus on your own healing, focus on your own growth. And so, yeah, big themes around masculinity, nature-based work, outdoor rec. Those themes started to land for me in my early 20s. And I'd say from there, the rest is kind of history. It's been a 10-year path for me to try and hone my own heart space and balance that with ambition and vision. And the Lifeways Wilderness Institute is a culmination of those passions. And yeah, so grateful to be where I am and also to have such a quality team by my side who sees in the work and believes in the work. And yeah, so I guess I'll share that for now.
So, are you from Colorado, or did you end up, what was your early journey? How did you end up, because you're in Lifeways Wilderness Institute is in Durango, beautiful part of the
Mhm.
country. How'd you end up there? How'd you end up in Colorado?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I'd say my path's been pretty circular here. It has not been direct. I grew up in Rockville, Maryland, just 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside of the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. I went to undergrad in Atlanta, Georgia at Emory University and studied institutions. I was a double major in economics and political science. And as I was addressing my own mental health struggle early on, I was a big baseball player growing up and was recruited to play at Emory. And that's what got me into the school, to be totally honest. And halfway through my time at Emory University, I was really angry and I was playing really poorly and my mental health was struggling and I just wasn't a very good person.
Mm,
And both to myself and to others. And I had a couple close friends who had been practicing meditation with some of the Tibetan monks on campus through the Candler School of Theology. And the contemplative practices, particularly with mindfulness and meditation, really drew me in and drew me outside and drew me inward. And from there, I saw the opportunity to study abroad and harnessed my Spanish. And so I journeyed to Spain and finished up my undergrad in Spain through an exchange program at the University of Salamanca. And while I was there, I got in touch with a company based in central Patagonia called Patagonia Frontiers. And the founder of that program and business was John Hoff, or is John Hoff. And he was the founder of the Knowles Patagonia School. And so I spent a couple of years working under him and found guiding through translating of all things, mostly they were like, oh, who is this guy? This East Coast boy. He has no skills, but he could speak Spanish. And sure enough, I did just that and really, really thrived down there in some ways and saw for the first time sort of this path forward with the outdoor industry and with guiding more specifically. And yeah, so from there, for multiple years, I basically flew to and from South America, summer to summer, summer to summer, and then worked field instructing and guiding contracts in the States with programs like Camp Thunderbird and Mountain Institute. And so just honed my skills as a field instructor and a guide and a climber and mountaineer. And the whole time I was following the paths towards wilderness therapy. And I knew that even if I stayed down in South America, I would still be the gringo down the lake, even if
mm.
my Spanish was really good. And I just felt in my heart that the Chilean Patagon culture wasn't mine to change or have. That wasn't where my heart was at. And I felt the duty to try and support Americans. And yes, I did see the future of nature-based work and the healing that can come from spending time outside. And I think that's what drew me towards Open Sky. And I guess it was summer 2017, I moved to Denver. And then by early spring of 2018, I was an Open Sky employee. And I had over 750 field days, professional field days with Open Sky before the time I quit in 2022. And yeah, Open Sky had been, at the time, a really formative experience for me. It brought me closer to community here in Durango. It brought me really closely, intimately in touch with land and people and place. And so I have so much to thank to the Open Sky team and Aaron and Emily, Danny and Norman, John Sweat, so many leaders in that space who really took me under their wing and showed me that path. And so since 2018, I haven't left Durango. This feels like home. And the Lifeways Institute is based out of Durango for that reason. And our intimate connection as a team, as a Lifeways team, to land, to place, to people is everything for us. I mean, you hinted at the magic here of Durango, Colorado, but it's a really ideal spot to run nature-based programming. With the desert and with the mountains, you can run nature-based courses nearly year-round. And so, I think our model really lends itself to a place like this, and just hope that more and more people feel inspired to work with us and come out here.
So you went on to get your licensed professional counselor. Is that correct?
I'm a licensed social worker. Yep.
Oh.
So I went to school at Colorado State University and was in their hybrid program, their 3-year part-time program from 2021 to 2024. And so I'm now a licensed social worker working towards clinical licensure. And so I practice under the Lifeways Institute as an outpatient therapist. And we have a team of outpatient clinicians as well.
So the Lifeways Institute or Wilderness Institute is an outpatient model. It's got a great website, and I've been digging around in it. I've seen some of your videos and stuff. Why don't you why don't you share with all of us the different aspects of the program? Because it has an outpatient feel to it, and yet there's retreats or short expeditions. Dig into it for us.
Yeah, yeah, I love that question. Thank you. And thanks for doing so much research on our business model and who we are and what we're offering. That's, yeah, really kind. Yeah, so the way I like to describe Lifeways Wilderness Institute is that we have sort of four spokes to our business, four spokes to our wheel of business. And the first spoke is recreational guided rock climbing. You can hire us for a day. You can hire us for a full weekend. We have commercial permits all over the Southwest to teach you how to climb or show you a deeper level of multi-pitch experience. And so that's a whole discipline. And then we also run wilderness courses, everything from 6 to 10-day backpacking courses through the San Juan National Forest to 6, 7-day wilderness solo to family retreats out in Canyonlands National Park. So the wilderness courses also include our community-based summer program. We partner with a bunch of nonprofits here in La Plata County, primarily La Plata Youth Services, who's been our fiscal sponsor for many of our grants so that we can serve local teens absolutely free, which is an amazing public-private partnership. And those youth, those teens get access to our permits. They get access to our guides. We're with them for almost 6 months every year. Some of those students have come back for all 3 years that we've been a program, which is amazing to see their growth and change and transformation. So that falls under the wilderness spoke. And then we also run trainings. So we train other outdoor educators, therapists, guides to basically improve their facilitation skills to bring more of this social emotional lens to facilitation, guiding, healing, and lean a lot on our polyvagal systems approach to guiding. The big thing that I love about polyvagal theory and why it's a guiding principle for our organization is simply because the nervous system tracking your state can be both individual and collective. And so that's basically our research informed practice for training other professionals. And then that leads us to our full outpatient therapy wing of the business, our fourth and final spoke. And so that's working with clients in person as well as telehealth. We're taking Medicaid and Anthem and Cigna across the state of Colorado and hoping to grow that outpatient arm to take more insurance companies and expand our scope beyond just the state of Colorado. But yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive model in the sense that we can support you and your goals depending on what your needs are or what your interests are. And that's intentional so that we can also be nimble in our approach as a business. For example, like our summer wilderness mentorship program with local teens, because we have so many different folks on staff, they get to go backpacking, they get to go climbing, they get to have access to the full suite of our business. And so do you, if you want to book a custom trip or you want to work with us outpatient, we'll be running all different types of programs throughout the year so that you can opt in those different ways. And I think that's a pretty unique thing where a lot of organizations, whether they're therapeutic or just recreational outdoor programs, they're not really invested in you before or after a program in the same way that we are. And I think that at least our hope is that we can be a business solution to some of the ecological and mental health crises in our country and across the world, simply because we're here for you and we're going to stick with you through all of these different options. Yeah, I think that's also been reflected in a lot of from our clients so far is that our heart-centered approach, our relational approach is, it's grounded and we take a lot of pride in how we communicate and are in relationship with our clients. And so I think the success there has been quite real.
I On the website, I watched a video that you did on an expedition. I think it was 4 or 5 boys and 3 staff. And in that video, it seemed to be more focused that we work with young men and we're helping young men. Was that
Mm.
just that population for that video? Or because do you have one population or various populations?
Yeah, great question. The answer is various populations. We started by just serving men locally here in La Plata County. And so you're absolutely right. That's the reference that the video makes. And as a clinician, I mostly work with young men, both teens and young adults. And so that's certainly my passion as a clinician. But since that video was taken, and as I'm sure you can appreciate how quickly things change and how hard it is to update websites and such, since that video was taken, we've been able to expand our programming and bring on female staff, female identifying staff. Have been able to broaden our impact to serve all genders. And so even our local cohort is indicative of that. This is the first year that we've been able to serve female clients with our grant funded program. And so, yeah, nearly 21 students have benefited from our full grant funded program. And so that's over 200 hours of direct therapeutic care, absolutely for free per student. And yeah, we're really proud of that. And to be able to serve local clients in partnership with nonprofit organizations to get kids outside, get kids into their hearts.
Well, I really enjoyed the video, and also because this season I've been focusing on men and boys and the importance of time in the outdoors, and you are all are taking a really heart-centered approach and voluntary and encouraging and low barriers to entry, trying to keep your costs low. What do you see as some of the reasons why young men benefit from a program such as yours?
Yeah, that's such a great question. Well, we could maybe spend a couple hours just answering this one, but I guess I'll share a few points. Kids growing up with screens today are really inundated with dopamine all the time, right? The way that I like to describe it is you have a little campfire in front of you all the time. And that campfire, biologically for us, used to be a sign of safety and connection. And so if we can actually take them away from the phone, away from the modern day campfire, and actually help them make fire and expand on that metaphor and do that outside, I think for boys in particular, there's just such a release. And I think the wilderness work for young men also helps give them the opportunity to practice healthy conflict. It gives them an opportunity to express maybe their anger in new ways or their sadness in new ways with other men who aren't going to judge them for tears or fists. And I think we at the Lifeways Institute really try to help young men connect to the fact that, like, while when we were young, maybe things were different, we were also going through similar dynamics, and to actually have thoughtful conversations around a fire about those things and slow down and talk about relationships with women or romantic partners, or to discuss what's it like living with your dad or your mom or your guardian, giving them an outlet to actually be in their bodies and be outside and maybe even be a little cold or chilly and really get into the body. I just find that for young boys and for all folks, but for young men in particular, it feels like it's just a bit more accessible. The heart space feels more accessible to them. And I think when you're able to have a conversation around a fire while your students are just like whittling a spoon or sanding their bow drill spindle or being tactfully, kinesthetically engaged throughout those conversations, it makes a huge difference. And I'd say the last part about the wilderness work that I think is primarily beneficial for young men is, yeah, having a routine that engages yoga and meditation and hiking, where they can also see that potentiality in their day-to-day life. Even if they're not going to go hiking every week, they can see how going for a run or going to the gym or prioritizing movement in their day-to-day back in Durango or where they're coming from. they can feel the importance of that maybe for the first time or reconnect with it again. Yeah, I think that element of routine and access to movement and being in the body has just been so cool to see
Mm.
from our students. And we get to hear from them if they come back year after year, like, hey, this thing is really working for me. Yeah, that threefold breath or capacity to go and ask for space and take a walk instead of get angry at my mom. Those things are working for me. So yeah, I think those are the benefits of wilderness nature-based programming for young men and boys. I just feel for them in our world today where school is hard for a lot of the young boys, where they feel bored and they get dysregulated. And yeah, I have a lot of empathy. I know
Yeah, it
I'd
was
struggle.
fascinating to me to watch that video, and you're interviewing or someone's interviewing a young man from Durango who had never been in the mountains, had never been camping before. So you're not only guiding, you're seemingly mentoring. He had never had a backpack on, and maybe that reflects my own privilege that, like, oh, what, why wouldn't you do that? But he didn't have access, I'm assuming, or a parent who was able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, all of our grant funded clients in La Plata County, I'd say maybe not all, but probably 85, 90% of them have never slept on the ground before. And I think that's what makes our grant funded program, our summer wilderness mentorship program, so cool. I mean, to work with kids who have never stepped into their backyard, so to speak, is just an amazing thing. And
Mm.
our model is, I think, culturally sensitive and grounded because it allows us to build trust and connection to some of these marginalized teens for months before we ever take them outside. And so that looks like community-based sessions, getting ice cream and going to the rec center to lift weights or play ping pong. And those moments, when we show up week after week through April, May, and into June, allow us to then see a sense of safety from these boys, even if they don't actually have any concept of wilderness nature-based work. They have no idea what it means to hike 4 miles a day, but they're going to do it because they trust us
Mm.
and they trust their cohort. They trust their peers. And so I think there's something to that. And I hope that other pie in the sky goal is that other communities start to look at our model and say, oh, this is possible for us too.
So the Lifeways curriculum, it's built around this idea of 4 rooms, and I'm assuming some of that came from your experiences working at Open Sky because they had meditation and yoga and healthy eating. Why don't you explain the 4 rooms and how you guide young people through those areas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the 4 rooms are not unique to us by any means. Yeah, Open Sky used that model, and I'm sure other organizations have in the past as well. But, it's a pretty ancient idea, right? Like the 4 rooms being mind, body, heart, and soul. And for us, when we're running courses or we're working with our mentorship program or we're doing outpatient therapy, a lot of our case planning or our wellness planning or our treatment planning comes back to goals that we set with our clients across those 4 rooms. So the mind goal or the mental room goal could be focused on something academic for the client, or it could be something focused on slowing down my monkey mind, or could be focused on something connected to cognitive dissonance or distortion. So that's where we can be pretty specific and get our clients to buy in, and the body and the heart sort of follow suit, right? So you can think about what that might be for a body goal, a physical room goal around exercise. Maybe it's a climbing goal, or maybe it's a interoception polyvagal goal around rest and digest in the body and feeling the body. Yeah. And for us, the 4 rooms help also connect to just noticing that we have different parts of ourselves. And maybe some of those parts have been neglected, or maybe some of those parts need a little bit more love. And that once we start to bring conscious awareness to those parts, we actually have the power to make a choice and step into potentially new behavior. Or for us, the big goal is that a lot of our clients learn how to ask for help. As Americans, we're really bad at that culturally. And our whole model is based on this idea that before you get to crisis or you get to a state of crisis, state of alarm, state of fear, you're going to have the skills now to ask for help. And you're going to have the skills to make a conscious choice to slow down and say, like, okay, I want to do this a little bit differently. And the 4 rooms just help ennoble that, right? To help you feel more embodied in making that choice. And I think, again, for us, you hinted at this, but, we're not here to make you do anything. This is all voluntary. This is under your own volition. And we're a wilderness institute, a conscious wilderness institute based on the idea that, like, it is your choice. We'll give you opportunities. We'll give you options. We'll allow you to buy into certain things, but we're not going to force you to do any of it. And I think for a lot of folks, that can be pretty relieving to just have the permission to say no or to work through conflict with a guide or a therapist. And yeah, I hope we continue to be an example for how that can be beneficial for people.
Mm. And are you a not-for-profit or are you a for-profit, but you work with not-for-profits like La Pata Youth Services, right? Because you have a relationship with them.
Yeah, so this is a for-profit business. We're still an LLC. And then, yes, we have quite a few public-private partnerships where we're basically contracted 1099 to provide a certain set of services. Typically, we take on wilderness liability. So for La Plata Youth Services, we basically are able to support their programming, offer field-based work, nature-based work through the summer, and then, implement our curriculum alongside theirs to support their clients. And we get to continue to come back year after year to hopefully do that for the long haul. And I think in our world of highly litigated outdoor activity or really wanting to protect people from bad actors and just wanting to make sure that we're providing an ethical product, I think being a business allows us to really hone in on our direction as wilderness experts. And we get to share that with other not-for-profit businesses. So I feel proud of how we're able to navigate that and still serve our community in this way.
What's it like for you, Chris? Because you guided in wilderness experience programs and you worked in wilderness therapy. And as I've been showing in the last year, not only has the wilderness therapy space really contracted, but even NOLS is now National Outdoor Leadership Schools numbers are dropping and summer camp numbers are dropping. What's it like for you as someone who chose this path to work in the outdoor field to see its retrenchment? And I want to say retrenchment. I don't. People say it's shrinking, but what's happening is there's different sort of shorter term programs like your own are showing up. But what is it like for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously I feel sad about it. I just hope that more and more people do see the need to go outside. I think the retrenchment, as you're phrasing it, really speaks to a larger just lack of trust that our society has right now in adults outside the family system more broadly. I think there's this like cloistering that's happening for family systems across the US where having professionals of any kind connected to the family system is hard, or there's fear that there's going to be some degree of indoctrination or just my kid's not going to get taken care of, or I don't know who these people are. Why would I send them outside for 30 days? And I think that, I obviously feel sad about that pattern. And I'm also invested in helping rewrite that story for families and for young people. And I think the most radical thing that we can do right now in our world is be a beacon of hope for folks and have that actually be coming from a grounded place, not from some bypassy or ignorant heart space. But my hope comes from this idea that nature is healing, period. And anybody who steps into that with me or with the Lifeways Institute or even any other program that's doing good work will benefit from that. The wilderness will do the work. I'm just a vehicle. The Lifeways Institute is just a vehicle for holding that space. And I mean, this work is as old as the species. This isn't anything new. I mean, maybe Lifeways Institute has found a way to reach folks in 2025 a little bit differently than what's been done in the past. And we're doing it within a voluntary context, obviously, and blah, blah, blah. But really, like, this is old stuff. This is ancient stuff. This is, yeah, as pure and as real as it gets. And that's what keeps me coming back to sit in front of my computer and answer the emails to make it happen, because I really think that in the age of AI and the age of screen time and screen addiction, that there's nothing better for folks than a day, a weekend, 6 days, 10 days, a month in the wilderness with trusted professionals who are dedicated to you and your transformation and growth. So that's where my hope comes from. And yeah, what I believe in, and to be personally devoted to land, to the earth, is what it's all about for me.
Well, that shorter term model is increasing. The wilderness therapy space that you worked in and I worked in for many years of longer residential slash outdoor spaces, that's contracted as summer camps, as longer term outward bound courses have retracted, but the shorter ones have actually been full. And this outpatient model, it seems like Lifeway and many programs are filling that space by providing, hey, I'm going to first meet with you and get to know you. And once you have comfort and there's a feeling of connection, then we're going to go out on this, could be a weekend or it could be a week, but creating a community to go on these adventures together. That's what I hear you're doing at Lifeways with some populations.
Yeah, exactly. That's it in a nutshell. Absolutely. And that's why I call it like a hybrid program, right? The short-term model, I think, yeah, at least allows us to dose wilderness
Yeah.
experiences. And I still see the benefit in that, especially if we're working with people who want to be there
Right.
and really want to integrate this work into their life. I'll share that recently I've been listening to a couple podcasts, and one being Point of Relation, Thomas Hubel, and he talks a lot about this idea of space, like creating space as the path towards an integrated life. And to live an integrated life is to be present in your life. And without creating that space, you're not integrating, you're not reflecting, you're not digesting, you're not resting. And I think a big part of the nature-based model, whether it's for 24 hours or 3 months, is that you get to practice making that space for yourself and to see what it feels like and to try it on. And then to know that opportunity is always underneath your nose, right? Once we have those skills and awareness. So yeah, I really hope that people see our organization as an opportunity to learn how to develop a connection to themselves, the earth, and their community, and to know that without having a relationship to things, we can't love them. And that goes for all three of those domains. And again, I mean, that's why our vision is to be a business solution for ecological and mental health crises. It's just based on creating space and holding that space so that folks can learn to, yeah, love the earth, love themselves, love the community. Yeah.
So looking ahead, what are you thinking for the future of Lifeways Wilderness Institute? Do you have some new projects coming up or
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the goal for us is to really grow our outpatient program and to really expand who we can serve, especially now that we're billing Medicaid and Anthem and Cigna, both for sessions and hoping to do that for courses or at least portions of them as well. And so we want to continue to make our programs accessible. And those three billing systems are a good way to do that. And that's a lot of work for a business to bill and make sure all of our paperwork's aligned to make sure that we get paid and that our clients have good quality care. So that's a big project, and we're really excited to be rolling out Medicaid and insurance billing here this month. Yeah, so really excited about that. And some other big ones are expanding where we have permits, both for climbing and backpacking, backcountry use. Looking to expand a little bit outside of the Durango bubble, which will be fun. Also really excited to run some more courses in Canyonlands National Park where we have permits, and hoping that we can really utilize that beautiful place to facilitate weekend-long intensives for families, groups. And yeah, I think we'll continue to grow our organizational partnerships. We were working with Southwest Conservation Corps this summer. We're hoping to work with one of the wildland firefighting groups this coming year to help train and embed more of our therapeutic social emotional curriculum into their program. And hopefully in the next 3-5 years, we'll have a campus or some land and really be able to integrate a lot of this for more folks. And yeah, hoping to just chip away at those big picture things to deliver what we know works. And yeah, stay in our hearts along the way. Do our best.
that's awesome. Chris Brown, thank you for sharing your story and the Lifeway Wilderness Institute on stories from the field. And how do people get in touch with you? And what is the website? How is it spelled out?
Yeah, thanks so much, Will. Yeah, so our website is lifewayscommunity.com. That's LIFEWAYS community.com. Yeah, and you can reach me at Chris, CHRIS, at lifewayscommunity.com. And yeah, thanks for listening. And yeah, such an honor to be on your podcast, Will. Thanks so much for your time.